Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. So I haven't filmed a TBR this year and I figured Realmathon was a perfect time to start getting back into filming them. I've been slowly working my way out of a reading slump that's lasted months and has been so frustrating, but I feel like I'm finally ready to tackle a readathon again and I can't miss out on Realmathon. It's just a yearly tradition at this point and it's so much fun. I love the reading sprints. If you don't know, this readathon is created by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy, and I will leave a link to her announcement video because you have to check it out. So much thought goes into this one, and I decided to join Team Ravens. And the thing that I love about this readathon is that it's really conducive to mood reading, which is perfect because though I have this set TBR, I know my moods can change, and I know that as you are watching reading sprints and participating in the Discord, people start recommending things and your TBR changes on a dime. So the fact that it's just an attack and defense competitive based readathon where there are a ton of prompts, you'll always be able to fit your book into some of them. You don't have to overthink it too much. It's perfect for me and perfect for somebody who's working their way out of a slump. So I'm a little late to filming this, which has been typical of me lately, and I'm trying to be better about it, but I've already read one of the books in my TBR, so I will just talk about that very, very briefly, and that is When the Wolf Comes to Call by Nat Cassidy. This was an ALC from NetGalley and I loved it. I love Nat Cassidy's books on audio. I think he's fantastic. One of my favorite horror authors. Another 5 stars, solidified him as one of my auto-buy horror authors, somebody I will continue to recommend. And his afterwards, I'm sorry, are just fantastic. I think he just gets it. And this one focuses on complicated relationships with your father. He always takes on important and hard-hitting themes in his horror, which horror tends to do in general. And on this one, he's talking about his own relationship with his father, and he talks about that in the afterword. But you're following a woman who is trying to be an actress, and one day she is leaving work and she finds a child hiding in one of the bushes, and his father is after him and she's on the run trying to protect this child. But there's a lot of supernatural things happening and things are not as they seem, and I will leave it at that. I think that's all you need to know for a book like this one. But I don't always like horror that focuses on children, but the take that Nat Cassidy does with this one is unique and I'm so invested in it. And again, the audiobook's incredible, so that is one that I've already read. So I've already submitted that for points on Realmathon. It actually got me quite a few points and I can't wait to talk about it more in a wrap-up. I'm thinking I'm gonna do quarterly wrap-ups this year, so I'll do one at the end of March. And my physical read right now is Fable for the End of the World. My tabs are falling out. I literally just read one chapter of this, but this is an arc, so this comes out this month at some point. It might be out now actually. And I haven't read a single YA book this year. I was looking at my spreadsheet and I haven't read any YA, which is pretty typical. As the years go by, I read less and less, but I still do like a YA fantasy. And this one is a YA dystopian and it's sapphic. And there's something called the Lamb Gauntlet, and our main character, one of our main characters, her mother was in debt, and in order to relieve her debt, she has to sacrifice her children to this Lamb Gauntlet where it's televised, it's like a live stream, and these kids are assassinated. And it's a romance between her and one of the assassins, and the assassins is struggling with what seems like PTSD from past gauntlets, and she has this ruthless reputation that she has to uphold, but she obviously has feelings for the other girl in the story. And I haven't read anything like that Hunger Games vibe in a minute, and I'm looking forward to diving deeper into this one. This will be my first book from Ava Reid, and I know a lot of people love her stuff. And then the audiobook I'm currently listening to is Catch Me If You Can by Christina C. Jones. I just randomly on a whim downloaded a Christina C. Jones book onto my Kindle, and it was a novella, and I think that I was probably supposed to read a different novel before reading this novella because it was like following characters that appeared in that novel, but it didn't matter to me. I was in the mood for a novella. I devoured this in one sitting. I think it's called Between the Lines. I'll put a picture of it up here. And there are more novellas in this little series, but I can't access them. I think they might be on her Patreon. If you know more about Christina C. Jones than I do, please let me know. She has a ton of books on her backlist and a ton of series and a ton of novellas, and I'm a little bit confused about where to start. I think every book of hers that I was looking up has over 4 on Goodreads, which is incredible. And I always want to find suspense rom-coms that are actually good, and I feel like that can be hard to find, and I think I'm getting that with Catch Me If You Can, and it's a trilogy, so that makes me happy. We're following these 2 characters, and it's a fake dating, enemies to lovers, and they both work in what is like the CIA. They're both undercover and they have to pretend to be together, but they did not get off on a good foot. And right now where I'm at, they're pretending to be on vacation together, and there's lots of great banter. Love the chemistry. I already know that I like Christina C. Jones' writing. I read, is it Love on the Highlight Reel last year, and I've been meaning to get more into her stuff. So I'm excited that picking up the novella has reignited my love for her stuff and wanting to explore her backlist. And the fact that this is a trilogy, I think they're all under 8 hours on audio. They're all on Everand. And if I love it, maybe I will marathon that series. We will see. And then on my Kindle, I started Peaches and Honey. I know that this series has been getting some love recently. And one of the prompts for Realmathon is to read like a book the host gave 5 stars. And I know that Tori absolutely loved this book so much. And I read 2 chapters last night, and the writing is so beautiful. I could see some people thinking maybe it's too lyrical and too flowery, but it just hits me right in the feels, and I was captivated from the jump. So I'm loving the writing so much, and I'm so intrigued by the premise. Our main character was ostracized from her town because they think that she had leprosy, and she actually has vitiligo, and she's been living on her own in the forest and just surviving for years that way, collecting berries and stuff like that and hiding from everybody. When one day a woman shows up, she is being chased and she chooses to protect her, and the woman gives her a peach and disappears and says something like, "You're gonna live, you're not gonna die." So we see this whole scene played out where she's captured. This is all the first chapter, so it's not a spoiler. And it's just so beautifully written and so well done. And I think that now she is immortal. I think this book is set in the 1100s, like that's when it starts, 11 something. And we're gonna follow her through the centuries as she loses people. And I think that it's also a romance with this person that gave her immortality, and this person kind of changes how they appear to her and stuff. I don't know, I've just read the first 2 chapters, but I'm captivated by it. I can see why Tori likes it as much as she does. It feels like a Tori book to me, and I think it might just be a duology. Don't hold me to that, but I think there is a sequel to that available as well, so maybe I will read that. I've been kind of in the mood to marathon things lately, which is not typically who I am, but I'm just embracing it. And then we have to talk about the book club book for March. So obviously I'm part of the Black Hat Book Coven, and we read witchy books every single month. So the March book is Jackie's pick, and she always goes a little bit rogue. It's always a little bit more historical, and you never quite know if you're gonna love the book that she picks, but they're always interesting. And actually one of her picks was my favorite book of last year, like that we read for the book club, but don't tell her that because she likes to brag. Anyways, the book that she chose is a historical, and it's called The Stone Witch of Florence. So obviously it's set in Italy, and it takes place during the Black Plague, and we're following a woman who is being condemned as a witch, but she's also a healer. And we've read a lot of witchy books at this point, obviously, but I think this one sounds unique in that she harnesses her powers from gemstones. So if you're into that, you might want to try this one with us. And she's being used by the leaders of Florence to try and capture a thief who is stealing relics from the churches. So we will see how we feel. I think that the premise is actually intriguing. I'm open to this one. Please join us. We have a live sprint on my channel, I think on Sunday, so hopefully I have this video up before then so you can join us. And then the live discussion will be on Jackie's channel at the end of the month. So looking forward to diving into that. Either way, love it or hate it, the discussions are always chaotic, always so much fun, especially when Jackie's hosting. So think about joining us for that one. And then of course I have to have a Tea Kingfisher, right? So I finally think I'm gonna read Paladin's Grace because I read Swordheart. I have been putting off Swordheart for years because it's everybody's favorite Tea Kingfisher. It's my favorite Tea Kingfisher now. I think it's gonna be my favorite book of the year. I don't know how you top Swordheart for me, but this is the next book in that world, in that series. And I know that these are all getting new covers. They're all getting more and more hype. People seem to absolutely love this series so much, and I already like this like World of the White Rat. I love everything that she's created here, and we dive more into this one. And we dive more into it in this one, and it says Stephen's god died on the longest day of the year. 3 years later, Stephen is a broken paladin, living only for his chance to be useful before he dies. But all that changes when he encounters a fugitive named Grace in an alley and witnesses an assassination attempt gone wrong. Now the pair must navigate a web of treachery, beset on all sides by spies and poisoners, while a cryptic killer stalks one step behind. I just love Tea Kingfisher, you know this. So I'm excited to finally dive into this series and love it as much as everybody else does. Becky from the channel Bex Reads is hosting a 24-hour readathon within March that I'm hoping to participate in, and it's an Unstuff Your Kindle readathon. So the whole point is just to read some books that are on your Kindle or whatever e-reader that you use. And I think she said even if it's physical books, the point is just to get down your TBR a little bit within 24 hours. And there are going to be live reading sprints throughout the entire 24 hours, even in the middle of the night. There are hosts from other parts of the world that will be doing that. I think Becky is waking up at 3 and sprinting till 6 a.m. So that is commitment right there. So I'm hoping to read 1 or 2 books. I haven't really decided on what books. There's one that I'm going to talk about now that I hope to get to during those 24 hours, and maybe a Christina C. Jones novella. That's probably the most likely scenario given the mood that I'm in right now. But the one that I'm definitely going to prioritize is called Rose Among Thorns, and this is by Ash Fitzsimmons, and this was a book that was up for SPIFBO, and I know Cassidy's team read it and everybody was really surprised by it and really seemed to enjoy it, and it just sounds like a bit of me. And it's only 187 pages, so it's perfect for that readathon. It says, no one said anything about an attack vine. Rose Thorn should never be left unsupervised around plants. Potted things tend to die around her as if on principle. But when her great aunt calls and asks Rose to watch her garden nursery for a few days, Rose can hardly say no. After all, Aunt Lily is the closest thing Rose has to a grandmother, and the only family she has left. So Rose doesn't mind driving out to her tiny mountain town to look after the place. Aunt Lily never mentioned anything about an inspection, however, and it goes on from there. So you can just tell it's got that cozy fantasy romance tone. That works for me, so I have this one downloaded. I cannot wait to get to it, and it's the start of a series. There are 4 books out right now, it looks like. So again, wow, these have good reviews. Not a lot of ratings, but the people who are reading it love it, so something I can continue on with during that time if I so choose. Then I figured I would read The River Has Roots for this readathon. It comes out in March. I've been eyeing it and waiting for it for months, and it's short, so it's perfect for Realmathon. And it's got fae, and it follows sisters. I love books that follow sisters, and they live outside of the fae world, like on the edge of it, and they have to take care of enchanted willow trees that provide them magic. And one day one of the sisters denies a suitor, and this person turns out to be evil, and she is in love with somebody in the fae world, and the 2 sisters have to fight to survive. So sounds like an interesting premise. It's 144 pages. Hopefully I can get access to that one. It's out right now, so I should check my library, or if it's on Everend or something. So that just seems perfect, a good way to spend an afternoon. That's what I've been in the mood for lately. It's books on the shorter side that I can just finish in a day sitting in this chair. It just makes me so happy. So if you have any recommendations like that, let me know. And then the last book I have is from Libro FM. It's an ALC from them, and I love them so much. And this is a YA horror, and obviously I just read When the Wolf Comes Home, and I'm just reminded how much I love horror. I've really been reading romance and fantasy lately, but I do love horror so much, and it's good to break up some of the romance that I read. And I do love a YA horror. Some of my favorite books are YA horror, and this one is They Bloom at Night, and I've been hearing great things about it. It's a new release. I think it's a debut, and it follows a young girl who lives, I think it's in Mercy, Louisiana, and there is a hurricane that causes this red algae to spread, and the creatures in the lakes are becoming mutated, and she's lost her family. She only has her mother left, and her mother believes that their dead relatives are now these sea creatures. And the leader of Mercy comes to her and her mother and tells them that they have to capture the sea creature who is killing and drowning the town's residents. So they do that, and they have some old alliances, like I think it's a ragtag crew, and she has a romance with the leader's daughter, who is a hunter. So I've been hearing great things about this one already. Again, I like a YA horror, so I'm looking forward to trying that one. On audio, I think it's on the shorter side as well, which obviously I just said is what I'm looking for at the moment. So those are the books on my TBR for March. I'm really excited about all of them. I'm hoping that I fall in love with a lot of these series starters and maybe marathon a series or 2 as well. Been really in the mooding mood, which feels amazing. Let me know if you're participating in Realmathon and what team you're on. And I will leave a link to Becky's announcement for the Unstuff Your Kindle readathon, because I think that a lot of us have ebooks and just books on our TBR in general that we'd like to get through. And I think there aren't as many 24-hour readathons that are live streamed these days. I know that used to be like a really popular thing, but I haven't seen as many lately. So I love that she's doing that. I will try to be in the comments on as many of the live streams as I can that day, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. So I'm really excited about all these books. Let me know what's on your March TBR. Thank you again for the support. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.